next speaker just closed a $100 million Series D. We usually don't celebrate funding, but I'll celebrate the funding here because he's also very transparent. He's a natural teacher. We're going to dive into the story, the security SaaS space today, and how he's broke 50 million bucks of ARR. Please tell me, welcome to the stage, Dror Liwer of Coro.net. Dror? It's great to have you again. Thanks for being back. Come on up here. Did I get the numbers right? It was a $100 million Series D?
The Series D was 100 million. Total raised so far was just north of 280.
And the valuation on the Series D was about how much?
The press has stated, we don't state it publicly, but the press said it was 750, and they were pretty close.
Okay, press is generally close. So 750. Okay, great. Let's go back to the origin story. So you got going. I mean, when was the first line of code written for Coro.net? Would you say the first line of code, like the MVP?
2014.
2014. So we still see like pretty small revenue up to really like it looks like 2019 here, right?
Yeah.
What took so long to get to revenue?
That's a great question. So we're a cybersecurity company. For those of you who don't know, we target mid-market and small businesses. And initially...
You like that, right?
Oh, I love that.
Throwback.
I love that. I love those colors. Still to this day, I think orange is my favorite color from a branding perspective. I got overruled by my partners. But basically, we started off like every other cybersecurity company trying to sell a niche product into the enterprise market. Very quickly understood that that market was not very receptive to new ideas. Started really morphing the product, got the product to be a lot more complete, continued to sell to the enterprise. And then I remember the board meeting where I presented on a big graph saying, here's where we are selling, here's who's buying, maybe we should sell there.
And what was there?
This was mid-market and small businesses.
Mid-market and small business, okay.
That really loved the simplicity that we created, that really loved the whole concept of an all-in-one. So we slowly grew the product from a very niche product to a platform that covers basically everything that a mid-market or a small business needs.
Try and ignore everything you've learned over the past years because I want people to like get in your head in this moment of time when you push on this website. The thesis was that you were selling what? Was it to police groups?
It was trying to, so the attack vector was called commjacking, which is a name I actually coined, and the whole concept was preventing a man-in-the-middle attack in the wireless realm. So either Wi-Fi or cellular, it's very, very easy for an attacker to step in the middle and basically intercept all the traffic and then either manipulate the traffic, steal the traffic, or whatever. And so when we went to sell this, people said, oh, that's a great technology. We had patents, we won awards and everything. But people said it's too much of such a specific threat vector that it wasn't really...
they weren't willing to spend money to prevent it.
It's not about just spending the money. They weren't willing to add one more thing to the stack.
I see.
That's a very... when you look at it from the eyes of a chief information security officer or an IT person, adding something new to a stack has additional costs, which is why cybersecurity is so broken, because you need to have layers and layers and different tools. An average company on the enterprise side will have 40 different cybersecurity products that they've bought. Each one of them has a massive side cost, not just the cost of the software, but the team, the training, the maintenance, and so forth and so on.
Let's push this forward, and I want people to take a snapshot in their head so they can follow along with the story, right? So this is the funding history, right? First off, you had 3 co-founders, I think, right?
3 co-founders other than me.
So 4 total. Did you guys do the easy thing, 25 each?
Yep.
Fair enough. He owns it, 25 each. Was it as simple as that? You're like, okay, pizza, beer, 25, feels right, let's go?
It was, we all brought so much to the table, so it was clear that each one of us has equal value, and therefore we should have equal share.
And you're running for president soon.
I am running for
so political.
the president
I'm saying
of
very political answer, but no, it is what it is. But okay, so anyways, you start with 25, 25, 25, and then your first seed round, Series A, 5.5 million, 2016. I mean, most people were selling 20% in their seed round. Was it around that?
Just around that, yeah.
Okay, so that was like called like a 20 million valuation. You were still though pre $1 million, $2 million of ARR in 2016, right?
In 2016, we were 0.
0, okay, yeah. So you don't really do that big round until 2018, 20 million. And if we go back to the revenue graph, we still see basically no zero or zero in that range. What was being valued at the time? Was it the patents?
It was both the patents and the potential.
Okay.
Because we started, I think we really showed that the potential was phenomenal. SMBs are the least protected animal in the business world. And if you wanted to know how big that opportunity is, we can ask this audience. I think all of you are what we would consider SMBs, under 2,000 employees. How many of you actually have end-to-end cybersecurity that you can trust, covering your devices, the network, the cloud, the email, and the data?
Yeah, no, there's some people.
3 people. By the way, for the rest of you, 40% off on Coro if you go to coro.net/SaaSopen.
I rarely meet an engineer that can sneak in a sales pitch at the same time. That was very good. Do it one more time because it was so good.
Coro.net/SaaSopen, 40% off on our entire platform.
I love that. That's great. All right, so
but here's an interesting thing. Everybody in this room will spend easily $50 a user on CRM, but they won't spend $15 a month on cybersecurity.
Until they get hacked and they feel the pain.
Until it's too late.
Right, you're selling, that's the problem with what you sell, right? Is you got to sell that pain and no one will pay for it until they feel the pain. So
exactly.
Let's talk about the story though, right? So you're going from this, you learn, 2015, 2016, you learn. Okay, now this is the new messaging, 2017.
Yes. So basically in 2017, we created this all-in-one that covered basically extended what we've originally done. So we were very much in the network space. Then we extended it to SaaS on the one end and to the device on the other end. And we launched it in 2017. We called it Secure Cloud. And that's really the time where we noticed that the simplicity, the concept of all-in-one was really attractive to the ICP that we weren't even considering. The mid-market, the small business, 20 to 2,000 employee range, which, all 4 founders come from the enterprise world. And to us, this was a sort of like an epiphany that there was a market and they were buying and they were interested.
So you keep learning from 2017, 2018, 2019. Now this is what your website looks like in 2019. Feels more enterprisey, right?
Yep.
Less words, less colors, more direct, right? Using Office 365 G Suite Dropbox, plug us in. Let's go forward. You keep learning. Here's what you look like now in 2021. You've expanded the industries you're serving, healthcare, manufacturing. Which of these 6 sort of industries was making up the most of your revenue in 2021? Do you remember?
Actually, I would say pretty equally distributed. One of the things we're super proud of is the fact that we are very evenly spread across verticals. So we're not exposed in any way to a specific vertical tanking or something like that. And we've all had our battle scars where you sell into financial services and then 2018 happens and everything gets shut down. So we're very proud. Right now, we see 2 specific spikes. And
this is where you're at today, right? So you're
yes.
trying to brand this idea of sort of modular cybersecurity as a brand.
Correct. So right now we're seeing 2 spikes in education and in automotive. And that's because these 2 industries have suffered a significant amount of attacks in the last couple of years. So they were waking up to the reality and understanding that they need to make that investment. And we made that investment extremely easy for them to make. Because it's an all-in-one, it's $15 a month for the entire platform per user. Very easy to digest.
I mean, from a consumer perspective, I'm most concerned about automotive cybersecurity because I'm terrible. I always think about worst case scenario. But again, I drive a Tesla. And they brag about the fact they can push updates any night, but I'm also like, crap, if anyone wanted to kill me, they would hack Tesla and drive my car off a cliff while I'm in it. If you do that times a million cars on the road at the same time, that's like a major terrorist attack waiting to happen.
Yeah. So,
I mean, could that actually happen, or are you seeing enough protocols in place with these IoT devices?
Our security doesn't cover our IoT. It covers what we call the workspace. The user, the device they use, the network they're connected to, the cloud services, the email, the data. We're not touching IoT. That's a totally different world of security.
I see.
Which most of the people here probably don't even touch.
Yeah. All right, we got 3-4 minutes left. I want to jump into your capitalization history, right? So you talked about early stages here. You do the Series C, 80 million, 500 million post-money valuation in 2022. The thesis around that round was what? Why'd you need that amount of money in 2022?
So if you go back to the revenue growth, you'll see that suddenly we started growing at 3x. So you mentioned before 3x, 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 2x, 2x. So we did 5 years of 3x, and then this year is going to be our first 2x year because the base number has become.
You gave
so
me this
big.
projection of 100 million this year. Are you where are you today? Like
We
you
are
just
on track
annualized today.
for that.
You're on track.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. So yeah, going from 50 to 100 million
Yeah.
in today's SaaS market, that's pretty incredible. So you use that to drive growth. You keep doing fundraising, right? Because you obviously did the Series D, 75 million, and the Series E. It was a Series E for 100 million, right? Or was it?
No, the Series D was 100 million. There is an error here. The Series C was actually 155.
So put them together.
Yeah, it's sort of like a two.
I see. So the 80 million at 500 and the 75 at 600 were actually the same round, just two different.
It's like
close dates.
C1, C2.
I see. Okay, what I want to get into though, and I didn't ask you for this, and it's going to make you uncomfortable, so I apologize, but just roll with it. I've modeled your cap
My assistant
table.
did not ship my Kevlar vest.
Yes, but it's important, and I know you're open, and I think you'll talk about it. Most people won't talk about this, so I have to take the opportunity. But this is, I believe, what your cap table looks like. So there's some key assumptions here. I made the assumption that your 4 co-founders all own 25% at the start. So you see that in the upper right? You, Doron, Carmel, and Guy. And then I assumed 20% sold in the 2014 Series seed, which you confirmed earlier. And then some of these other metrics are already public. Like we know you sold 16% in the Series C. We just got confirmation on the Series E of about 13% sale. If all this is true, you've been diluted down to about an 8% stake in the company, assuming there was no top-up or ESOP pool. Are you in that range today?
So there were top-ups along the way
Okay.
because it's important to the investors to make sure that the founders stay very engaged, and that's the way a smart investor thinks.
Yes.
That's one thing. But the second thing is I'm not really worried about dilution at all because I much rather own 5-8% of a $10 billion company rather than 30% of a $10 million company.
Yes, but this is what all the early employees at Hopin said, and then it crashed and burned, and all their options are upside down, and the employee number 2 gets no money. So
That's not an option for us.
Well, that's my question for you, right? So if you see my sort of ugly text in the bottom left, right?
Yeah.
As you raise more capital, your options for exiting decrease. There's less buyers that will pay that amount of money.
Absolutely.
So how do you turn this, you have not, just to be clear, he has not confirmed this. I am guessing his on-paper net worth based off the percents on the top, I put on the bottom, but I'm guessing on-paper net worth for Coro is around 50, 60 million bucks. The question is for you personally, like, how do you turn this into actual cold, hard cash? Is IPO your only option? Have you done any secondaries?
Yeah, so from my perspective, and I can speak for my other co-founders as well because we're all on the same page with that, we're not all that interested in shooting for an exit. We're interested in shooting for a $10 billion revenue ARR company because the market is massive. So we're looking at a market that the TAM is about $110 billion in our market, and we want to be the dominant player in that market. So we're much more interested in building the largest, the most successful company in mid-market small business cybersecurity rather than thinking about an IPO or an exit. And I think that our funders also view it that way because that exit will come if we build that massive organization.
We've got about a minute left. Have you or anyone on your team talked to Google's M&A team anytime in the past 12 months?
No.
None. So they just pulled out of a massive cybersecurity acquisition.
Oh yeah, Wiz.
They never talked to you guys about.
I'm not sure they pulled out.
You think Waze pulled out?
Wiz.
Wiz pulled out.
Wiz is the other one.
W-I-Z, yeah.
I jokingly I said we should
Wait, why
rename Coro Wowza because apparently Google buys WZ companies,
funny.
Wiz, Waze from Israel.
Yeah,
so.
but wait, why do you think Wiz pulled? I thought Google probably pulled out. Why do you think Wiz pulled out?
So the official line is that Wiz really wants to do an IPO. That's what their CEO is saying. We have no inside information whatsoever. So what I know is what you know from the press.
What do you think Wiz's revenue is?
I think it was 230.
230 million. So I mean, you're half that size.
Yeah, we're not that far.
They were valued at, Google was thinking
23 billion.
Yeah. So you think you can make a fair argument you're worth 10 billion today, the company?
If we're half of what they are and our offering is actually much wider and our TAM is much bigger than theirs, then I'd say that would be fair.
Taking the spotlight off of you for a second, you guys can see here, the reason I like building these graphs when our research team does research at Latka is you can see sort of the Series A position of 5.5 million. assuming the dilution happens the way the waterfall shows. You can see they've effectively more than 15, 20x their position to be worth effectively 91 million today, up from the 5.5 million. Or the Series B went from 20 million to now worth 47 million today. So it's just fun to understand sort of how this works. To your point, again, I put in some ESOP top-ups here. You did that pretty much in every round, some sort of ESOP top-up?
For us and for all of the employees as well, yeah. We want to keep everybody engaged. We want to make sure that people are with a view to a personal success as well.
Yep. Guys, it is not easy to be this transparent, but again, launched with ugly orange and green colors back in the day into the completely
not
wrong.
Ugly, I love the orange.
They're pretty ugly.
Orange and yellow.
Or orange and yellow, pretty ugly, but not a designer, so you get a pass. 2015, very little revenue to 2018, 2019, patents issued, finally pivoted the business. You grow from nothing, you 3x, you 3x, you 3x. You're gonna double this year at scale from 50 to more than 100 million bucks of revenue. Also just a great guy, super transparent. Please help me give it up for Dror at Coro.
Thank you, man.
That was awesome. Thanks for letting me push you a little bit.